6 out of 10 Republicans recommend FTR Radio to everyone they know. The other 4 are rhinos. FTR Radio, online at FTRradio.com. FTR Radio salutes some of the great Democrat presidents in the radio era. FTR Radio.
You're listening to Liz and Taylor.
Alright, so why can't I get another tattoo? Come on.
Because you get another tattoo, then you start talking another gun.
But not the movie star, the battling duo from the Right War on FTR Radio.
Oh, come on.
You're the one who said it.
That was a joke, partially.
Enlist in the Right War. Won't cost you nothing. Not as good as military service, but it's got to count for something, right?
Good evening, folks. Thank you for listening to FTR Radio. I'm Liz Harrison. This is The Right War, and no, Taylor is not in the co-host seat. Hi, Sean.
Hi.
Sean is a sad panda tonight, so we have to be, like, extra nice and cheerful, or...
You have to pick the second or third tweet that you were originally going to pick for me to defend, not the really good one you wanted me to defend.
Oh, okay. I imagine I gave you a few interesting ones because I sort of started cutting it up with Film Lad.
Yeah, I noticed that. I might have taken one of those for further explanation.
Yeah. It's always so much fun when I end up sort of kind of getting explicit in my tweets.
It's a nice change because it's like auto tweet, explicit tweet, auto tweet, auto. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. There's a good one in there.
Yeah, I know. I'm terrible that way. It gets really bad whenever I end up hanging around in, well, relatively questionable corners of the interwebs and end up being inspired by them. Yeah.
I would know all about that.
No, you never look at internet porn.
Oh, me? No, of course not. That would be ignorant.
I was so depressed because out of all of the things, I ended up on Pornhub to look up Mattress Girl. Do you remember her?
Oh, yeah. Wait, did she take it off her site?
Yeah, I guess so. It ended up on Pornhub.
I'm totally shocked that a reenacted rape scene with backdated timestamps would be thought to be in bad taste in hindsight.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, because first she removed the timestamps because I guess she realized that backdating a reenactment to when it supposedly happened was in poor taste, and maybe one of her friends finally talked enough sense into her and was like, no, it's not the timestamps that was in poor taste. It was the whole goddamn thing that was in poor taste.
Yeah.
I think that at least I hope that's what happened.
Yeah. My lovely broadcast software was going psychotic on me. It is possessed. It's because of the movie Poltergeist. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah. But... It was playing background music for a while there, and I'm like, what? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, my iPad did that the other night. I was watching a live leak video, and I clicked off of it, and the sound just kept going for a really long time, and it was confusing.
Yeah. Well, I don't like it when the software does that to me.
No.
I've yelled at the developer once or twice about it, but I can't complain too much. I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, that's right.
Sponsored deal.
Yeah, I remember that.
But of course, he can't complain because he's made at least a handful of sales because of me. So.
Yeah, then you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
He has to listen when you yell. Or at least in theory, he should listen when you yell.
Well, once he figures out how to remove some of the issues that I had been yelling at him about in the first place, I'll be really nice to him and do like the whole video deal to show people how to use it.
You mean you'll
Or-
show? You mean you'll actually show your face, or you mean you'll just?
No, because that doesn't do any good in instructional videos. You always do the screen.
Right, right.
Yeah, you got to show them what they're clicking and all of that. Anybody who does one of those instructional videos and uses a webcam and they're doing stuff on their screen should be shot. I mean, I understand it if you're talking about wiring up hardware or something like that. Like you have to show them how to do something physical.
Right,
That makes sense.
right.
But when you're talking mouse clicks on a screen, stop it. I don't care what you look like. I care what's on your screen.
You don't want to see me clicking the mouse as I'm clicking the mouse?
No. No.
I guess my
I hate to
narcissism-
say this. I mean, I love Tim Wells and everything, nerd.
Yeah.
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 I love him dearly, but I couldn't get into the whole gamer thing that he did, when he had to be Tim Elsa. I don't get the deal with sitting there watching people play video games.
I must have missed that whole thing.
Yeah, I'll have to show you the Tim Elsa thing. He dressed up like Elsa.
Like Elsa from Frozen.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant by Tim Elsa. That's. I was kind of hoping you were going to come out with like it. No, not Elsa. But then you said yes. So.
Yeah, Extra Life, that thing that he did, that was the name of it.
Oh.
He was raising money for Children's Miracle Network, I think.
Oh well, then at least humiliating yourself's good for charity, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And he definitely can sport a dress.
I've
It's a little bit disturbing when he wears heels, though.
never seen him in a dress, and I'm not really trying to either. So that's good. I will take your word for whatever you say about him in a dress.
I've got to respect firmly heterosexual men who who are firm, like they don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's a joke or it's humiliating yourself for charity.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not saying I would.
Or losing a bet with your wife, or
I'm not saying I would cross dress or I'm into cross dressing, but if someone put together like a comedy sketch and was like, "You're going to cross dress, it's going to be funny." And we're going to raise money for charity. Like, I wouldn't be one of those guys just like, you'll never get... No, like, I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. It doesn't bother me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I saw the Army guys having to go and wear red high heels, and I was like, give me a break. Although I did force a guy to go and wear stilettos once.
Army guys in high heels?
Yeah, they did that on some college campus.
Oh, God. This isn't Russia. That's not...
No, they did it so that they could, understand what women go through. Well, that's the whole reason why I made the guy wear stilettos. He kept on saying, I want you to wear them. I want you to wear them. And I'm like, fine, you wear them. So, yeah, he got a pair and he wore them. And then he quit asking me to wear them so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It suddenly was very obvious why I didn't want to do it.
They don't look comfortable from a third-party perspective.
No, and they're really bad when you're talking about they have the pointy toes, and the woman in question has broken her toes multiple times.
Hey.
Yeah, that hurts a lot.
Yeah, I imagine it does.
And even though they're totally healed, the toes are completely healed now, but if it hits the wrong way, it feels like my toes could go out of place.
Eesh.
And yeah, that's not fun.
No, doesn't sound fun.
No. But anyway, you didn't want to talk about high heels. You wanted to talk about McKinney.
Right. About the pool party. So much fun. Hey, didn't you notice it was weird how none of them were in the pool?
Yeah, I know.
I guess it's just because they weren't invited. Yeah. But yeah, all right. So everyone's losing their freaking mind over this. Apparently, no matter what you say, you're gonna piss everybody off, and this is getting a little ridiculous. But let me tell for the people that don't know my background, my father was a Leo, not like a Leo, like an Aquarius or like a law enforcement officer, like an LEO. Father was a Leo. Good friend that I have been friends with for 15 years is a Leo. Several friends of friends are Leos. My good friend's father is a Leo in the county I live in, and he's always like, hanging out nearby doing something. I'm in Texas and I'm around law enforcement a lot, as it turns out. But I'll tell you what I saw from my perspective. And I watched this video quite a few times to make sure I didn't miss anything, and actually corrected Taylor on something, which he never responded to. So I take it he made a voodoo doll out of something and started poking it. But so the video I saw starts cops running out of his Tahoe, and if you notice the Tahoe, the lights are on. And in the 80s, cops would always run with their lights on to just about every call, but now they really only do that for priority calls. So just by seeing him get out of a Tahoe with the lights on tells me that it was dispatched as a priority call, or what some cops call a hot call, it's like a serious in progress type call. So whenever you get those kinds of priority calls, you're naturally going to get a little more amped than if you get dispatched to a MVA, motor vehicle accident, with no injuries. You're going to be like, okay, I'll take my time getting there. But something like this, you're like, okay, it probably came out as a lot of people fighting. A lot of times information gets kind of mishmashed in dispatch, so you could tell the dispatcher there's 50 people here and there's people fighting, and sometimes that can be dispatched as 50 people fighting. So this was probably his most interesting call of the day. So this guy was, if this guy, whoever answered this call is going to be more amped than they usually would be with other more monotonous or routine calls. Anyway, he gets out of Tahoe, lights are on, and I saw him. He runs around back, he runs up on the sidewalk, and if you look at him, he's looking for the fight that was dispatched. He sees a bunch of people, but he sees a bunch of people kind of standing around or walking around, and you can see he's looking for the fight. And he runs past the person filming with their camera phone, and there's two teens right there walking away. And he's got his flashlight in his hand, and he points it to them, and he says, "Sit down." And they say something like "me" or something, and he says, "Sit down." And they both just, they both sit down. And they're black. It's not like they're white. They're black. He points at them, says, "Sit down." They sit down. And a second later, he's already, running past him. He, for lack of a better word, he doesn't care about him anymore. They're compliant. They're not part of the problem. He's on to the, to figure out what's going on. The video kind of skips after that, shows him looking around, and then he comes back, and he's back kind of near where his Tahoe was, and then all of a sudden, the crowd that was there, there's more people, and the people that are there are more energized than they were when he first got there. And for whatever reason, he starts trying to detain the girl that's in question. I say detain. Just because you're getting put in cuffs doesn't mean you're being arrested. It means you're being detained. So he's trying to detain this girl for whatever reason, and she starts yelling, which is not good. Which is, if cops trying to detain you, and even if you don't move, you just start screaming or yelling, the cop is going to react to what you would probably consider negatively to that. The cop's gonna take it up another peg or two on his energy, and he's probably gonna get a lot more serious than he would be if you're just like, okay, cool, put me in cuffs, I'm not doing anything. And so and then after she starts yelling, she starts yanking her arms away from him, which, she's 15 or whatever, so she might not know, but that's a huge no-no. That's what's called non-compliant, and that's the start of a very slippery slope when we're talking about trying to place a non-compliant person under arrest. Then, if you keep watching the video, I counted them. 8 people surround him in about 4 or 5 seconds. And I'm being liberal with that 5 seconds. It was probably more about 2 or 3. But 8 people surround him pretty quickly, and they're yelling and they're jumping around, and they're making the situation worse. They're making the situation worse. So at this point, the girl in question, she's non-compliant. The people surrounding him could be taken as hostile. They're yelling, they're running around. And one of the kids makes a big mistake. And one of the kids puts his left hand behind his back to pull his pants up. But, if you're just like Joe Schmo at home watching this, that you got a link on Twitter and you clicked it, you're like, oh, he's pulling his pants up. But he's got his back to the camera, so the cop can't see what he's doing with his hand. We can see watching the video, but the cop can't see. So basically, for people that don't know what that is, that's called a furtive movement. And I'll define what a furtive movement is in 10 seconds so everyone's on the same page. Defined as a furtive movement is a movement reasonably consistent with going for a weapon. The law does not demand or require that your perceived antagonist actually have a real weapon in order for you to employ lethal force in self-defense. It only demands his actions create in your mind a reasonable and prudent belief that he has or is going for a weapon. At this point, the requirements have been met for you to justifiably use deadly force in order to defend your own life. Now, obviously, this kid that did that didn't have like a 9mm he was reaching for, but when you have a non-compliant person that puts their hand behind their back, that's a furtive movement, and not reacting to that as a cop, in many cases, could get you killed. So this cop draws his gun, and people say, oh, he drew his gun. You know what? I would have drawn my gun too at that point. 8 people surrounding me and someone makes a furtive movement, my gun's coming out of its holster too. Sorry, write the city council about it. I don't care. I'm going home. So, basically, you know, and then of course, you know, backup arrives right when that happens. They chase the 2 guys that one of the 2 that made the furtive movement. They chase them away, and he goes back trying to detain the girl. And now, after this all has taken place, like we kind of said earlier, if you defend this cop in any way, shape, or form, you're an evil racist. And you know, I can reference Taylor getting skewered on Twitter for saying he talked to a local black man who thought it wasn't racism. And and then unironically, a white chick comes into his mentions and starts, you know, telling him about how the black guy's wrong and white privilege this and racism that and everything else. But it's not only the people who are reporting on it that are, you know, that are getting problems and getting getting grief for defending the cop, or at least saying that it wasn't racist, what happened. Apparently a Miami school district principal just lost his job for defending the McKinney cop online. He's not anymore, the principal of North Miami Senior High School. His name is Alberto Iber. Apparently just like tonight, just a little bit before we went on, lost his job after posting to Facebook that he watched the video and, quote, "He did nothing wrong. He was in fear for his life. I commend him for his actions." And that guy is fired. So, I mean, basically what we're dealing with in this situation is, you know, the cop's name is Corporal Casebolt. Was he a little more amped than the other officers on the scene? Yeah, he was. Was he alone and outnumbered? Yeah, he was. For a good part of the video that people are taking issue with, he was alone and outnumbered. In hindsight, could he have handled things differently? Of course, absolutely. But the thing is that when we're watching that video, we can see angles he couldn't, and we're also sitting, you know, armchair quarterbacking it like, oh, he didn't have to do that. Well, hindsight's always 20/20. It's when you're in the moment that it gets a lot harder to make those kind of decisions. But everything that you and I say, it matters, but it doesn't matter to the general public, and I'll tell you why. It's because the narrative is already on the wall. That back in the day, the court of law was the court that, you know, had the power to take your life away if you screwed up. And now what we're dealing with is the court of public opinion, that we don't need a trial. We don't need evidence. We need one angle of a crappy camera phone video, and your life is fucking over. And that's it. And, you know, and it's so ingrained that it doesn't just stop at getting the cop fired. Like I said, it's, you know, YouTube commenters, I'm sure, get attacked. You say something on Twitter that doesn't jive with the official narrative, you get attacked. You're the principal that deals with kids every day, and you look at a video and say, well, you know, it was a little out of control, but the people there were out of control, and I can see how he, you know, felt, you know, in worry for his own life, and you're fired. You are fired. That you know, the social justice warriors have created a culture that if you don't feed the monster eats you. And if you don't go with the official story or the official position, then you're evil, you're racist, I don't know, maybe you're sexist, and you're part of the problem, you're one of them, you know, Hades on you, etc., etc., etc. And it's a very dangerous situation that it creates, because then it creates what you see in Baltimore, that you have a bunch of cops that all of a sudden don't really do cop stuff anymore. Because when they do cop stuff, they could get fired, best case scenario, and when they do cop stuff, worst case scenario, they could potentially get doxxed like Case Bolt did. They posted his address on Twitter. They posted his phone number on Twitter. They posted threats to his family on Twitter. So, and then when you have a climate where cops don't want to be cops or can't be cops or choose not to be cops anymore, where they kind of sit back and relax and don't really do that much about, criminals or crime, well, crime and criminals get worse. And someone has to be asking at this point if that's kind of the motivation of the movement, is so cops stop being cops and people that want to do certain things can get away with doing certain things. And I see no real reason this cop had to be fired. I think that he was a little more amped than he had to be. He was alone and outnumbered, and that can give you a serious adrenaline dump. And I think we've all been in a situation where we thought we were screwed, for lack of a better word, because of different factors. And you probably got a huge adrenaline dump, and your hands were probably shaking at the end of it, and you were probably like, "Whoa! Like, I didn't realize I was this like I need to chill." And I think that's what happened here. I mean, he was well trained, but I think he probably got a little caught up in the moment. I think he could have used some remedial training. Probably could have used some happy-feely, do some work with the schools, with teenagers, get to know them, study their behavior a little more, understand why they freak out and stuff like that. I don't think this guy needed to be fired, though.
He wasn't fired. He resigned.
Well, see, that's the thing. I did talk to my law enforcement officer friends about this, and they said that after they saw what the McKinney police chief said about the guy, they said there's a good chance that Case Bolt got called into the chief's office and was handed a pre-typed resignation letter and was like, you can sign this and keep your benefits, or you can not sign this and I'll fire you and your benefits go away. And they said in that situation, pretty much you sign the letter, and then hopefully in a year or two, or extended period of time later, you apply with another department and kind of start over after everyone forgets about you. But I would, these are guys that are cops. I'm sure they've seen this situation happen, probably even in their own departments, and they all kind of agreed that this was a like, they handed him the resignation letter and you're signing this right now.
Yeah, but basically when I saw the same thing you did, and I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, Sean Venkman and I are going to be on the same page, number one.
Of course we are.
We're both blue bloods, for all
Right.
intents and purposes.
Right. I mean, like, I don't hold a ridiculous loyalty that I'll defend cops. No, I've thrown plenty of cops under the bus. I'm a libertarian, so naturally it's kind of a weird place to be, pro-police and pro-libertarian. And I don't mean that all libertarians should be anti-police. I just mean that there are going to be situations where the cops do have to do what they do. And it might look bad for the, untrained eye, but they're out there dealing with serious, threatening people with guns, people with knives, gang members, stuff like that. They have to bring a certain amount of force in some situations. And, as a libertarian, I'm also torn because I don't think that they should be sticking their nose in certain things. They do stick their nose in, but I understand that the politicians make the laws and they have to enforce what's on the books. They can't turn their, they can't ignore dude, smoking cocaine. They can't ignore that. They have to deal with that. But it just creates a environment where it's really easy for people to be like, you're either with them or us. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area. Case Bolt's a racist, or you are the racist for supporting a racist, and it's very Alinsky-ish to me. It seems like it's dividing and conquering. It's pick a side. Well, what if I don't want to pick a side? I'm going to use my judgment on a case by case basis. In one situation, the cop could be horribly wrong, and in the other situation, the cop could be totally, within his rights and within his means and within policy completely. But what they do is they use these one angle videos, and then they make it look as bad as they can. They throw it out to all the media outlets that they know the right demographic is going to bite on, and then this is what happens. But I have a question for you. Are you, Liz, one of the people that are pro-police body cam, or do you not really have an opinion, or are you anti-police body cam?
I'm honestly ambivalent at this point. I mean, and there are a couple reasons for that. I mean, the tech isn't there to make it non-cumbersome.
Yeah, the cameras are still a little weird, and
yeah,
a lot of
that's
times
the primary issue I have, and also because the tech isn't there for true clarity either.
Yeah, the clarity's not that great. I only ask that because I think in this situation, if he had been wearing a body camera, it would have added a totally different element to when people.
Oh yeah, because you would have seen everything. Well, right. That's the problem.
Yeah,
if it would have been a body cam. See, if body cams had peripheral.
Yeah, like a
if they were fisheye,
a wide-angle lens or fisheye.
Yeah, if they were fisheye, because then you would be able to, and I know that would be hellish, but yeah, the whole issue that I had was that I realized as soon as I saw that kid who was reaching behind him, he slipped.
Yeah, no, he was.
But
pulling he was pulling his pants up.
Yeah, but his leg slipped into the peripheral vision of the officer. And it was a quick movement which drew his attention, and as soon as the officer turned to look, that's the exact instant the kid had his hand behind his back.
Right, and I was talking with Taylor about this, and Taylor was like, well, he didn't draw his gun at that point. And I was telling Taylor, no, but that's probably when he mentally made the decision to draw his gun, and then the act of drawing his gun took another, he had to get his arm free, and then he has to reach for it, and he has to pop his retention strap, and then he has to pull it. So that I think that's when he mentally made the decision to pull it, even though he pulls it a few seconds later. There are delays like that. That's where the ancient saying comes from. That is one of the reasons I would never be a cop. But the ancient saying is, if you want to win a gunfight, start one with a cop, because action always beats reaction. That even if the cop makes a decision that he needs to draw his firearm because you're drawing a firearm, then you're already in the process of drawing a firearm, and he's just mentally like, oh crap, I need to draw my firearm.
Exactly.
And so, but yeah, the whole situation, I was just thinking if we could have had another angle, even if it wasn't fisheye, even if it wasn't wide angle, if we could have had another angle with him where you see this girl screaming in his face and ripping her arms away from him, and then 8 people run up and surround him and dudes reaching behind his back, I'm sure it would have looked a lot worse from the other angle where you can't see what he's reaching for. I think
I'd even want to body Mike because I'd like to know what she was saying.
Right,
because I don't buy her story.
I really thought most cops wear body mics these days because they almost all have dash cams. And that way, even if, the car's only parked a certain angle, you can still hear what takes place because you have the body mic. And yeah, I mean, McKinney's, I think they're a pretty, actually I've been there. I know they are an affluent suburb of Dallas, so you would think they would have the funds to do body cams and good dash cams with microphones on the officer and stuff like that. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't.
Yeah, and
I'm kind of surprised that the only thing we have is a crappy cell phone video of the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, for all we know, that isn't the case, and McKinney went and threw him under the bus because it was easier. But, yeah, you have blue bloods in the family. I do too. On the other end of it, another part of my family, along with a couple of the officers in the family tree, we've been involved in running a small security company for some time. And I had worked as one of the people who would go out there and do security. And I would have drawn in that situation. I have no question in my mind.
I got this picture in my mind of you just giving someone some good old hickory shampoo. Just
No. Actually, most of the time when I worked security detail, this was back in the day when we had union bosses threatening corporate people. And they were actually putting bricks through windows and attacking their cars.
They're doing typical union type activities.
Yeah, union thuggery.
Yeah.
And we would be hired to handle security. And most of the time when I would be on those details, I was the eye candy. Which, that meant that I had a fairly decent wardrobe. I'd end up going to the opera and stuff like that with individuals from the corporate world, and I'd buy a dress and the slit wouldn't be high enough. I'd have to make it higher because of the thigh holster. So because I really didn't like taking the .22 pop gun in the handbag.
I'm kind of jealous of chicks because, like, if you have a decent sized handbag, you can conceal a freaking hand cannon in one of those things. And like me as a guy, you carry a purse around, people would be like, "Well, that's weird." But like, I couldn't conceal a hand cannon on me as easily as like if I had a purse. I could carry it around. That's why I don't understand why more women don't conceal carry. But we're kind of getting off topic, so I'll leave it.
Yeah, well, if you're working security, you don't want it to be in your handbag.
Yeah, no.
You want it on your person.
That's true. No, that's true. And like you said, I would have pulled on him too. And I probably would have gotten fired, but you know what? I'd rather get fired than get dead, so...
Yeah, I always laugh because, Lara Croft, that's my style.
Oh.
Yeah. So even when I would be wearing tactical, when I'd be I worked construction site security, overnight, 3 times in my life. The third time, we had a couple heroin addicts break in. Yeah, and they were shooting up and all of that, and one of them was armed.
Hickory shampoo time.
No, actually, I ended up with a really bad bruise on my sternum because I walked right into it. I went around the corner. They were there. They were already drawn.
Dude.
They had the gun in hand.
Oh.
So, yeah, they had me, and that was it. And thankfully, they were far enough along the building, and thankfully, they were really that decent of an aim, because had they been off, I would have had a gunshot wound somewhere.
They shot
Probably.
you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
When I came to in the work trailer, because it just knocked me out cold, because I went backwards and slammed my head against some concrete, crap on the ground. When I came to in the work trailer, I went and asked my partner, I said, what happened? And they're like, oh, the coroner got called. And I said, well, that's good to know.
You're like, for me? But I'm talking. I don't know. For me?
No, I knew, but I looked at my uncle and I said, I give you my 2 weeks notice 2 weeks ago. I'm not doing construction security anymore. God, I had a bruise. It was horrible. It was like right on my sternum. And it was there for probably at least 6-8 weeks. I was lucky that it was from the breastplate.
Oh, they actually shot you and like your
yeah,
vest
they
took
shot
it?
me and the breastplate took it.
Holy shit!
Yeah, there was like this one little spot in the bruise that was darker than all of the rest, and I thought there was going to be an indentation in my sternum, but there wasn't. But yeah,
law enforcement.
The breastplate stopped it, but it did. It hurt.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it'll still break your ribs in some situations.
Yeah, I was lucky.
But yeah, people don't, and that's the thing. People don't realize how when things go bad, they go bad fast. And
oh yeah,
that could have easily been a situation where you're arresting a trespasser at a pool party, and then dude making a furtive movement is actually reaching for a pistol, and you just went from trespassing, dealing with a trespasser to having to defend your life and possibly take someone else's life.
Yeah.
And You know, I think it's funny because, the same people that were in Ferguson saying, oh, the officer didn't consider all his options and just went straight to deadly force. Well, this officer did not go straight to deadly. He pulled his gun, but he didn't, he wasn't aiming it to shoot it right away. So you would think they would have a little bit of decency in them and say, oh, well, at least, thanks for not, killing black teenagers. But that would screw their movement up, and they can't have that. So, get up, get the bonfire up. We're gonna get us another skull.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I just learned very quickly, early on. Don't quickly judge on all of those calls, and
No, and especially if you only have video from one angle, there's a lot of stuff you're not seeing, and
yeah, I mean, look, I've learned when you look at video, like I said, like I could tell from the depth perception and all of that, looking at that single angle. I knew based on where the officer's head was, and then looking at the ground, and somebody pulled stills, which made it easier, but I could still tell in the video itself. I just had to replay it a few times to see for sure. But yeah, it was in that he saw that leg, and he only saw it as a flash. And when he turned, he saw the arm behind his back.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
yeah, and it's going to take him a second or two to adjust and to pull his gun, and by that time those kids might have already changed their posture, and I think they might have already started running away. But you can't the last thing you want to do is run up on a cop that's dealing with a non-compliant subject they're trying to detain and start yelling and getting in their blind spot, and then when the cop sees you, you have your hand behind your back. Like, nothing good is going to come from that. It's not going to... And, no one's pissed off at the person who's promoting the party. No one's like, you didn't... Because, I had my fact-checker, whose name rhymes with Mailer Tillard, check, and my fact-checker said that they did live... the person who organized it lived in the neighborhood, but did not pay did not pay to reserve the pool for the event. Because if the pool had been reserved, all those people that were pissed off, or whatever that were calling, they wouldn't even have been there because they wouldn't have been invited. It wouldn't have been their deal. So it's weird to me that the promoter or the whoever the DJ or whatever is just getting off completely scot-free in this. Scot-free. I don't even think they had to go down to the police station and give a statement or something like that. Just scot-free.
Yeah.
Strange times. Strange times we live in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of strange times, because you mentioned, you have a boat?
No, I don't have a boat. Jesus, no. I'm not a narcissist.
Okay.
But, no. I did. I hail from a state originally where crazy things happen, and also people have boats. Most people have boats. My family had a boat when we moved to Texas, actually, and then we still had a boat. We got a different boat, but yeah, I thought the Marco Rubio thing. I mean, this is a great example of selective media coverage of one person and nobody else, just one person. Like Marco Rubio has a boat, all right. There are people who aren't representatives or state senators or high-ranking government officials that have boats. There are poor people that have boats. I mean, there are people below the poverty line by, a lot that still have, dinghies and john boats and stuff like that. I mean...
Yeah. Well, case in point, look at whatchamacallit, the swamp people.
Who, Carrie?
No. That show,
Oh, I think that was before my time.
No, No, it's reality TV, and they go out hunting alligators and.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've
show's
got
actually-
some really nice boats.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that have boats. I mean, I think we all know why Barack Obama doesn't have a boat. Because he's a sitting president, he has bigger things to do. If you thought that was a racist joke, you're the racist. But like,
I was thinking because he came from landlocked Illinois. Oh wait,
Oh.
no, wasn't it
No.
Hawaii?
yeah, well, yeah, Hawaii, and I hear there's a big lake in Illinois. I wouldn't know because I would never go there, but I hear there's a large lake there. I like.
In the chat room, Lunatic Rex says his dad had a boat. It was 2 feet longer than Rubio's.
Yeah,
They used to go in the Gulf of Mexico and catch a lot of fish.
yeah. I mean, it's not like the whole selective outrage, mainstream media machine is really overdoing itself, and like to make a joke about that. I noticed that Rubio's boat was basically the same boat as Dexter Morgan's boat. You know who Dexter Morgan is, Liz?
No.
He was a serial killer on the TV show
Oh.
Dexter. And
Yeah. Okay.
lived in Miami. It's basically the same boat. And I was like, New York Times hot take: Rubio owns Dexter's boat, because that's basically. I mean, that's really not far off of what they were actually saying. They were saying he was some rich guy. I mean, John Kerry's boat. You could literally probably buy. Let me see. It's a $300,000 boat. You could probably buy at least 6 or 7 of Marco Rubio's boats with, if you sold Kerry's boat and then
Right.
took the money and rolled it into.
Yeah, but it's not really John Kerry's boat, It's Teresa's.
It's whose?
His wife.
Oh, you put in his wife's name?
No, she's the one with the money.
Oh.
She comes from the Hines family.
Well, so we'll see. Well, that's what needs to happen then. Then Rubio just needs to give all his money to his wife and be like, "Hey, you feminists can't say
Well,
shit.
no.
You feminists can't say anything to me now. As I gave a woman all my money, and now I'm broke, so you can't say anything about me being rich. So
Well,
I'll
the
take.
feminists all love John Kerry because, he's a gigolo. Yeah, I went there.
if I was a woman, and I'm not saying I have these kind of thoughts, but if I was a woman, he would be like if I called a gigolo and John Kerry showed up, I would want my money back.
Yeah.
I would-
She definitely traded down.
I would leave a highly critical Yelp review of that escort company if they sent me.
Yeah,
John
her
Kerry.
first husband was the late Senator John Hines, who arguably would be the one that you would see running for the presidency today out of Pennsylvania instead of Rick Santorum. And believe me, you would be happy about that. Unlike what you feel about Santorum. John Hines was a great man, a great statesman. He would be accused of being a moderate by a lot of the
Communist
religious right,
Oh,
but he came from a obviously large corporate family. The Hines
really?
family.
Never
Yeah.
heard of Heinz. Sorry, I wouldn't.
Really?
No, not really, Liz. Jesus, these are the jokes.
Good God! I was gonna say, wait a minute, you're in Texas. Maybe you don't get Heinz ketchup.
No, I'm a red-blooded Texan. I buy Whataburger spicy Black Label ketchup from the store because I'm not a communist.
Oh, okay. See, I have the Heinz limited edition jalapeno.
Oh, name dropper. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, not all of us can be rich like you and Rubio with your
No,
boats and
no,
your
no,
full-line,
no,
your
no.
exclusive label
No,
ketchup.
I hate them for making it limited edition. I had to actually order it in the mail.
It's just a freaking sales tactic. You know they make just as much of that as they do anything else. Oh, it's limited edition.
Actually, they don't.
Really?
Really. Wait.
They're holding
They
back
don't
on the ketchup?
they don't for our market.
Oh.
I think they make it in Mexico because there is a lot of Heinz operations in Mexico. I love the logic of that because,
there's
if
a
they have
lot of
jobs in Mexico, they don't have to come to the U.S.
There's a lot
But-
of stuff being built in Mexico these days, and it always begs the question, like, how are heads not getting cut off? Because, like, everywhere else, heads are coming up missing in Mexico, but, like, at the VW plant, everybody's cool, and at the GM plant, everybody's cool, and I guess
Yeah.
at the Heinz plant, everybody's cool, And I would be interested to see, I guess, the paramilitary forces guarding these plants, because you know that they don't have Paul Blart out there with pepper spray. They'd all be dead already.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they were just saying in the chat, yeah, you can get Heinz ketchup in Europe. Yeah, it's not exactly the same as what you have here. Either it has a higher vinegar content or it has a higher sugar content.
Because weird
So-
Europeans can't just, have
they
American
can't.
ketchup.
Well,
They got to make different names for everything, like British people.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, literally can't call anything the same thing it's called in America. Can't.
Yeah. Yeah, Heinz baked beans sell great in England, but they don't sell here. Go figure. Yeah, I can't. It's hard to find Heinz beans, and that's even here in Pittsburgh, where the home of Heinz. So, but anyway, Rubio, he's getting attacked. Why? Oh, I know. Rushbo says that it's because the liberals are all afraid of him, or the leftists. We can't call them liberals.
That would make sense to me because, using their own playbook, if you go after Rubio, you hate Hispanic people.
Exactly. Well, of course, we have to go back to the logic that I stated the other day on my own show, and that is on the daytime one. I said, yeah, the left attacks a candidate, so the RNC is going to go with anybody but that candidate because, well, they're electable. I'm still waiting for my. I have to get. I have my little red phone that I've got for Priebus to call. Like Beck had it.
You're becking
for
it.
the president. Yeah, I'm becking it. But yeah, I got my red phone. I didn't get my call from Priebus to tell me what the word electable means. I'm waiting. But anyway, we're running out of time here, so defend your tweet time.
Oh boy.
Are you first or am I?
It's my segment. You can hit me first. Go ahead.
All right, let's see. Yeah, we'll go with the hickory shampoo because, kept on mentioning that. Can someone apply some hickory shampoo somewhere else so these assholes get the F out of my state?
See, it's solid logic in my defense. It's solid logic. People are already forgetting about whatever that cop in Ferguson's name was, and whatever that cop in Baltimore's name was, because it's Eric Casebolt is the evil white man. I don't know, doing something. So, I know they're not going to loot like they did in Ferguson and Baltimore because, they would get murdered in extremely high numbers very quickly, and it would probably be televised. So they're just going to stay here and they're just going to agitate, and just see if they can get the locals to do something stupid. And I would just rather just kind of cut the head off the Hydra and just kind of go all ISIS about it, I guess. But just stop them and just get out of my state. When you leave, we're gonna put a big fence up so you don't come back. DeRay or whatever his name is. I can't believe Hannity gassed that asshole up. I cannot believe Hannity invited that guy on his show. But yeah, it would make me happy, very happy if someone were to if a police officer, I guess, would slip and fall about 10 times in a row while holding their baton so that these people would just, they're like the Independence Day aliens. They take and then they go. So just anything we can do to facilitate them going, I would just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So now you have all of the wackadoodles descending there. See, I think they have a job now. Before we were, paying welfare on them.
What's the job?
But they're being paid by somebody to go and, protest.
Yeah, no, DeRay's obviously getting paid by someone. I'd be interested. I would be interested to know, if only there was a profession in America in 2015 whose job was to look into things and to notice dots and try to connect them. I don't know what we would call such profession, but apparently it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's called journalist.
Oh, I wouldn't know anything about that, sorry.
Yeah, I spent my day doing that elsewhere today. I'm sorry.
Well,
I was connecting dots on the Muslim Brotherhood. So.
You're the last of a dying breed. So
I know. I am a dinosaur. It's terrible.
all right. For you, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I did go through several hundred auto tweets, and
You had a whole pile of legitimate tweets recently. I was nice.
yeah, no, I saw that, and like some though, they're risque, but they don't really need explanation because they're kind of self-explanatory. You know, like the whole like me thinks someone never had a G-spot orgasm. Like you don't need to explain that. You think the person has never had the greatest thing that will ever happen in their life, and it doesn't really need an explanation per se. But I did find one that okay, it fit criteria. Because I don't know what the hell it means, and I'm guessing your listeners probably don't know what the hell it means. But you tweeted not too long ago, "I'm getting in touch with my inner Les Nessman, and it is damn depressing." I don't know who that is or why you're depressed, so feel free to defend that and elaborate also.
Oh, damn, I get to feel old. Okay, Les Nessman. That would be the newsman from WKRP in Cincinnati. And that was a sitcom, of course, from, the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. Johnny Fever used to be on it, who was, I'm trying to remember, Howard Hessman or something like that. But Les Nessman was just arguably a balding geek. And he wanted his own office, so he went and put tape on the floor to create his office because they had an open floor plan in the office, and he said that he deserved his own.
He just marked it off?
Yeah, and whenever people would come to talk to him, he'd get mad at them. He wouldn't recognize them if they didn't knock on the door.
Like the
imaginary door.
Oh, the invisible door. Got it.
Yeah, the invisible door. And he'd open and close the invisible door every time he would go out. So
yeah. you're claiming you're putting some duct tape down and marking some space or something?
Yeah, I was bemoaning the fact that I don't have walls earlier tonight.
In your office or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's my quote office exists in a corner in our living room, which basically means that anytime anybody else is in the room, they are really heavily a distraction.
Right.
So I started, going and looking on the Amazon for a way to resolve this, because I could put my headphones on and blank everybody out. That's not a problem. Mm-hmm. It's the visual thing that was going on. So basically, I found screens that I could put up, the room divider type deals. And I'm looking at it, and then I look at this little pink slip of paper on my desk. And I realize I've got an extra bill. And it is coming due, June 30th. Because my local taxes are due then.
Oh.
So,
city
because
taxes?
I have, yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, I get this twice a year. One of them is to pay for salt on my roads in the wintertime.
So you have to pay for them ruining your car? That's pretty sweet.
Well, it's better than having the car go sliding down the street and slam into a telephone pole, which would ruin it more.
Studded tires.
It doesn't always cut it.
Well, even in a Subaru with studded tires, I would think you'd be alright.
Yeah, unfortunately, the daughter has the Subaru, the husband has the Grand Am, so the Grand Am wouldn't do so well.
Well, the good news is they still make Subarus, so you could always go get one.
Yeah, the Grand Am has a recall on it, so I have to laugh about that.
Yeah, when I worked at a auto manufacturer that will go unnamed, I once had to tell a guy he had 14 open recalls on his car.
Ooh, that sucks.
I was like, "You have a recall?" He's like, "Oh, I do? Really? Is that bad?" I was like, he's like, "One recall?" I was like, 14.
Nah, 14.
Yeah, he was like, "What?"
Oh, yuck.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're at about that time, so Thank you very much, Sean, for joining us. And, of course, everybody can find you at Mr. Fopow on the Twitter.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
Oh, and feel better, because I know you weren't very happy when you came on tonight.
Yeah.
And I will catch everybody tomorrow night. I believe we have Jason Pye on, but we'll have to make sure. So, have a great night, folks, and catch you on the flip side.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.